Alright, I need some comedy because I just watched the McKamey Manor interview thing, the reaction video I did, and then I looked at a couple of things after. I wasn't going to watch extensive video, but man, that's really crazy stuff.
Get those hands up. Why are you crying? Why are you crying? It's all over for you, okay?
If you don't know what that is, you can watch the video I did on it. Boom. But I don't know. I want to watch some more George Carlin. He was a huge comedian, and I've only seen like maybe one or two of his stand-up routines. So I'm trying not to get. If you have any suggestions of more George Carlin or more comedy in general, any stand-up, because I'm so into comedy. I love comedy. I think it's super important to life. But I haven't watched actually that much stand-up really. Like that's one part of comedy that I really never was that into growing up. So I want to get more into it now. So I'm going to watch this one, George Carlin on religion and God. Hold on. Maybe there's a better... No. Okay, George Carlin on religion and God. It's really low quality, unfortunately. A lot of these clips are. But yeah, again, any more George Carlin or other comedians, any comedy sketch or comedy routines, yeah, let me know. But I'm just going out on a limb watching George Carlin on religion and God because I imagine he has some great stuff to say. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
McKamey Manor.
He loves you. He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow, just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and they always need a little more. Now, you talk about a good bullshit story. Holy shit. Thank you. But, thank you. Thank you very much. But I want you to know something. This is sincere. I want you to know, when it comes to believing in God, I really tried. I really tried. I tried to believe that there is a God who created each of us in his own image and likeness, loves us very much, and keeps a close eye on things. I really tried to believe that, but I gotta tell you, the longer you live, the more you look around, the more you realize something is fucked up. Something is wrong here. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the ice capades. Something is definitely wrong. This is not good work. If this is the best God can do, I am not impressed. Results like these do not belong on the resume of a supreme being. This is the kind of shit you'd expect from an office temp with a bad attitude. And just between you and me, in any decently run universe, this guy would have been out on his all-powerful ass a long time ago. And by the way, I say this guy because I firmly believe, looking at these results, that if there is a God, it has to be a man. No woman could or would ever fuck things up like this. If there is a God, I think most reasonable people might agree that he's at least incompetent and maybe, just maybe, doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit, which I admire in a person and which would explain a lot of these bad results. So rather than be just another mindless religious robot, mindlessly and aimlessly and blindly believing that all of this is in the hands of some spooky, incompetent father figure who doesn't give a shit, I decided to look around for something else to worship, something I could really count on. And immediately, I thought of the sun. Happened like that. Overnight, I became a sun worshiper. Well, not overnight. You can't see the sun at night. But first thing the next morning, I became a sun worshiper. Several reasons. First of all, I can see the sun, okay? Yeah. Unlike some other gods I could mention, I can actually see the sun. I'm big on that. If I can see something, I don't know, kind of helps the credibility along, you know? So every day I can see the sun as it gives me everything I need: heat, light, food, flowers in the park, reflections on the lake, an occasional skin cancer, but hey, at least there are no crucifixions, and we're not setting people on fire simply because they don't agree with us. Sun worship is fairly simple. There's no mystery, no miracles, no pageantry, no one asks for money, there are no songs to learn, and we don't have a special building where we all gather once a week to compare clothing. And the best thing about the sun, it never tells me I'm unworthy. Doesn't tell me I'm a bad person who needs to be saved. Hadn't said an unkind word. Treats me fine. So I worship the sun. But I don't pray to the sun. Know why? I wouldn't presume on our friendship. It's not polite. I've often thought people treat God rather rudely, don't you? Asking, trillions and trillions of prayers every day, asking and pleading and begging for favors. Do this, give me that, I need a new car, I want a better job. And most of this praying takes place on Sunday, his day off. It's not nice, and it's no way to treat a friend. But people do pray, and they pray for a lot of different things. You know, your sister needs an operation on her crotch. Your brother was arrested for defecating in a mall. But most of all, you'd really like to fuck that hot little redhead down at the convenience store. You know, the one with the eye patch and the club foot, huh? Can you pray for that? I think you'd have to. And I say, fine, pray for anything you want. Pray for anything. But what about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan. Gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine, but if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me. Couldn't you just skip the praying part and go right to his will? It's all very confusing. So to get around a lot of this, I decided to worship the sun. But, as I said, I don't pray to the sun. You know who I pray to? Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci. 2 reasons. First of all, I think he's a good actor, okay? To me, that counts. Second, he looks like a guy who can get things done. Joe Pesci doesn't fuck around. Doesn't fuck around. In fact, Joe Pesci came through on a couple of things that God was having trouble with. For years, I asked God to do something about my noisy neighbor with the barking dog. Joe Pesci straightened that cocksucker out with 1 visit. It's amazing what you can accomplish with a simple baseball bat. So I've been praying to Joe for about a year now, and I noticed something. I noticed that all the prayers I used to offer to God and all the prayers I now offer to Joe Pesci are being answered at about the same 50% rate. Half the time I get what I want, half the time I don't. Same as God, 50-50. Same as the four-leaf clover and the horseshoe, the wishing well and the rabbit's foot. Same as the mojo man. Same as the voodoo lady who tells you your fortune by squeezing the goat's testicles. It's all the same, 50-50. So just pick your superstition, sit back, make a wish, and enjoy yourself. And for those of you who look to the Bible for moral lessons and literary qualities, I might suggest a couple of other stories for you. You might want to look at the Three Little Pigs. That's a good one. Has a nice, happy ending. I'm sure you'll like that. Then there's Little Red Riding Hood, although it does have that X-rated part where the big bad wolf actually eats the grandmother, which I didn't care for, by the way. And finally, I've always drawn a great deal of moral comfort from Humpty Dumpty. The part I like the best, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's because there is no Humpty Dumpty and there is no God. None, not one, no God, never was. In fact, I'm gonna put it this way. If there is a God, may he strike this audience dead. See, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Everybody's okay. All right? Tell you what. I'll raise the stakes a little bit. If there is a God, may he strike me dead. See? Nothing happened. Oh, wait. Got a little cramp in my leg. And my balls hurt. Plus, I'm blind. Oh, now I'm okay again. Must have been Joe Pesci, huh? God bless Joe Pesci. Thank you all very much. Joe bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Joe bless you. All right. Yeah. Yeah, even the one main clip I remember was child worship was the routine he did before. And yeah, I can tell this thing is really just saying the harsh reality behind things that people don't like to talk about, Especially, when was this that he did this? Not gonna tell me? This was posted in 2009. I'm sure it was before that, so. But yeah, that's kind of how I see God, but not really. Religion. I still struggle with religion. It's not, I always say by no means am I religious, but I'm also not atheist, where I don't think there necessarily, like, straight up, there is no God, but I am agnostic, which is, like, pretty much not sure either way. It's almost the indifferent religion kind of thing. Yeah. I just like to, like he said, I like to deal with things that are rooted in reality that you know for a fact. Because honestly, I just don't. I've talked about this with people before. I don't see the point, honestly, in spending your whole life dedicating it to a God when you don't know if there is a God. Like your whole life is rooted in uncertainty at that point. I just don't want to live life that way. I don't understand how people people base their entire careers on it. It's crazy because there's thousands of religions in the world, and the odds that yours is the right one. There's a huge chance that most, if not all of your religion is incorrect, like, just inherently. Yeah. So I don't deny the existence of God. I also don't preach, because I don't argue this with people. I'm not like, I don't see how you can argue for God. And I know that sounds bad to say, but I don't know how you could argue for God not knowing anything. Like, you really can't argue it. Because again, it's just like you're guessing. Essentially, it's a guessing game. Is there a God? Yeah. I don't have a problem with you if you're religious at all. That's fine. I just honestly cannot see me ever living life like that, Not like, oh, it's horrible and it's oppressing me, the fact that I have to worship a god or anything. No, just the fact that everything again is rooted in uncertainty. You're never quite sure if what you're dedicating yourself to and worshiping is really a part of reality. Like, again, like you said, the sun. You see the sun. You don't see a god. You're basing it on word of mouth. The Bible. It's not God. Jesus didn't write it himself. It's someone else's words passed down. I don't know. Religion and God, yeah. Not super laugh out loud funny for me. Honestly, it takes a lot for me to laugh out loud. If you ever see me laugh out loud in response to a video especially, it's super difficult. Usually it's when I'm around my friends that'll get me to laugh. But if a video gets me to laugh, which does happen every now and then, but there's like certain people that can get me to laugh out loud just by myself. But yeah, any more George Carlin recommendations, any comedy recommendations in general, I'd love to start getting into more of this. But yeah, George Carlin hits on some heavy topics at the same time. It's great. Right. Thank you for watching. I love you, and keep on laughing, guys. I've always said it's my philosophy, you always want to aim to at least laugh at least once a day. If you're not laughing, if you haven't laughed today, it's not a good day. And so you always want to aim to laugh. Get yourself to laugh if you're down to that. Hang around with people that have a sense of humor and watch a funny video. Really, laugh. Laughter is medicine. I really believe that. It's amazing what laughter can do. And yeah, comedy is super important to my life. I think it's integral to any life. Honestly, I couldn't see living without, humor and comedy. That's why a sense of humor is like the most important characteristic to me in a human being. But yeah, I'm rambling at this point. This big comedy religion thing going on. 17 minutes?
Follow me on Twitter